Hi. Today, once again, I want to talk to you about food shortages. Now, we've seen food shortages in recent months and the past year, and we know it's going to get worse. How do we know that? Well, the food you're eating this year was harvested, most of it was harvested last year. But think about this. For the past year, we've had lockdowns, people not wanting to work, truckers not driving. A lot of farmers have dumped milk because they had no way to get it to a store. A lot of people that grow our food, our vegetables, were not being able to grow our food, could not grow it. And now, inflation is sky high. Now, the Democrats just love to blame this on Russia. This isn't Russia. This is Democrat policies. We saw our food prices going up and gas prices going way up long before Russia went into Ukraine. Now, I have talked about food shortages before. I've talked about everything from freeze-dried foods to some of them big buckets. Now, those big buckets are really not worth the cost. But if that's what you want to get, hey, that's entirely up to you. If you want to spend that kind of money, I'm making this video because what it's going to take for all of us to get through this is community, is helping each other. Now, unfortunately, we already know the Biden administration has already said we are going to have food shortages. Duh. I'm not a Democrat voter, so I'm not stupid. I saw this coming actually before Biden was elected. So I started preparing before Biden was elected. Other people didn't. Other people, oh, it's going to be okay. We just don't like Trump's tweets, so we're going to get someone in the White House, and we don't care what happens. Well, you got your wish, people. We're going to see a pretty bad food shortage, and the thing is, it's already happening. Now, I ran across something this morning from my local news. They're talking about the food bank here. Now, I'm going to play it. Unfortunately, I cannot show the video because I could get a copyright strike or have this video removed for that. But I will let you listen to what they're saying. Now, please listen. It is only 2.5 minutes long. This is our local food bank here in Missoula, Montana. This is what they're talking about. And you'll understand why I'm saying food shortages, one, are real. Two, with things getting worse, and they are getting worse, you may have to go without. Unless you have a community backing you. Don't rely on a single person. Single people, a single person is selfish, they're greedy, and most likely, most of the time, they're lazy. Especially the younger generation. Don't rely on a single person to help you. If you need help, rely on the whole community. If you have a way to help, be part of that community. Don't just hoard stuff for yourself, knowing what's coming. Help other people out. Now, do I really want to help a Biden voter out? No, I don't. But if it came down to it, would I? Probably. There's a real chance I would. Because, well, Democrats are idiots. So, what can you do? But I'm going to play this. And like I said, I apologize. You're not going to see it, but you're going to hear it. And I am in Missoula, Montana, where we here in Montana, we really try to take care of the people here in Montana. So I want you to hear what they're saying.
We're definitely seeing families more frequently than we typically do this time of year.
Jessica Allred, interim co-executive director at the Missoula Food Bank, says cost of living increases are hitting Missoula.
All of those things that really add up for families who are living without enough.
Shoppers say they're noticing a difference.
It almost takes a full check just to get a tank of gas.
Alice Johnson has lived in Missoula for years. She takes care of her son and 2 young grandkids. As costs rise, she relies on extra support to feed her family.
I would not be able to buy it at the stores. It's so expensive, and for people like me, we would not be able to make it. The grandkids would be eating whatever we can afford to buy, and which isn't enough. It's not.
And people like Alice aren't the only ones adjusting. Food banks themselves are having a harder time getting food.
Listen here.
It's really forcing us to spend a lot more time and energy.
The Montana Food Bank Network receives and distributes food to food banks in every county in the state.
Last year, our trucks covered about 150,000 miles.
As diesel costs rise
by $2 a gallon.
And supply chain disruptions drag on,
Material and labor shortages.
the network is changing some of its basic operations.
How we're going to bring it in and turn it around and get it back out.
Typically, a third-party distributor might bring food deliveries to the network. Then, the Montana Food Bank Network would distribute that across Montana with their own trucks and drivers. But Todd Lingesher says now there just aren't enough third-party drivers, and the third parties are costing more.
To move a trailer full with a third party, the price has increased 8-fold over a year ago.
Now think about that. Sometimes they can't get food. This is a food bank. The cost of having food brought to the food bank is 8 times more than a year ago. This has to do with Biden's policies. And they talked about food shortage, not enough. And they're going to continue.
That might mean missed deliveries, or sending network drivers to do the work of the third party.
Can't necessarily go and get it, or we can't time it within our warehouse. We have had to say no to loads of food.
The area's
not enough people working. Some drivers that are willing to drive this show up and there's no one there to unload it because it could be after hours, it could be on a weekend or whatever. So there's no one there to actually unload this, if they're lucky enough to find drivers.
The biggest disruptions,
just in general, are the real rural areas and a lot of our reservation communities.
The Missoula Food Bank sees it too.
Less availability in some products.
But here, there's still food.
Here's the thing, in Missoula, Montana, and all of Montana, we do have a community type setup, okay? A lot of stores do contribute to the food banks here. A lot of farmers contribute to the food banks here. So it is more of a community thing. Yes, food banks generally do have to buy food, such as canned goods. But if they can't buy them, and they can't have them delivered, that's going to affect you if you can't afford to go to the grocery store. When food banks cannot get food or have food delivered, what are you going to do? You know there's a shortage already.
Michelle.
Really so grateful for the support of this community that helps us to keep pace with the need.
And
once again, the community. Our food banks, not only is it the stores, but it's the farmers. It's a lot of people contribute. Unfortunately, here's what they're missing. And here's what you might miss out of this story. Farmers can't get fertilizer, and when they can, it's sky high now. So they don't plant. When they couldn't plant because they don't have workers, they can't grow anything without workers and people to help them. Truck drivers are not driving, so even if they grew it, it can't be delivered. That's exactly what this story's talking about. Here in Missoula, Montana, yes, we have stores here that will contribute food to the food banks. But we also, like I said, we have farmers. When you have farmers and ranchers, they can't get what they need to help grow their crops or take care of their animals, they're not going to be donating anything. When the food banks are hurting, you know it's bad.
Missoula, Katie Miller, MTN News.
All right, that's it. I wanted you to hear that. So, we already know next year will be this year's harvest. With Russia going into Ukraine, yes, fertilizer sky high, which is going to affect farmers' crop production. But then we have the Biden administration attack the truckers, along with that idiot in Canada, Trudeau, attacking the truck drivers. We had people not wanting to work and getting free checks every month, which meant farmers couldn't grow food. And now we have food banks talking about it's hard for us to get food, and if it wasn't for the community, we wouldn't have what we have. You know, I don't know what to say other than if you voted for this, this is what you got. This is what you wanted. The only way you're going to be able to affect any change whatsoever is if you vote out every single Democrat and you vote out those Republicans, so-called Republicans, that are nothing but Democrats in Republican clothing, like Mitt Romney. Even Susan Collins, I'd get rid of her. And I think there's what, Murkowski? You know, when Romney keeps getting elected, this man is so anti-family, it's not funny. But he keeps using he's Mormon to get elected. Well, Mormons are all about family, but he's proven every day he's anti-family by the way he votes. When he voted for this woman to go on the Supreme Court, knowing her record on releasing sexual predators, he's anti-family. He's anti-child. Democrats keep making the same mistakes. They keep electing the same people that are doing this to us. Unfortunately, Democrat voters have now affected my life, my girlfriend's life, hell, even my girlfriend's cat's life, Midnight, when it's hard for us to find cat food. That's Democrat policies. When you have a choice between putting gas in your car, because Biden went after the oil companies, threatening to shut them down. But when you have a choice between putting gas in your car, buying food, buying medication, paying rent, that's not of a choice you should ever have to make. That kind of choice. You should never have to make it. Everything has gone up under Biden. And for any fool out there to say this is because of Russia, you're lying to yourself. Because we saw this coming and we saw it happening long before Russia did anything. If you think it's getting bad now, wait for 1 year. Seriously. They're already talking about food shortages around the globe. They're talking about people starving. Are you prepared? Are you ready? I've had debates with people because I'm so sick of YouTubers hawking stuff to make money themselves. They hawk these big square buckets of food, freeze-dried food, 25-year shelf life, for $700, $800, $900. And I'm looking at that stuff going, most of this stuff is basically side dishes. And when you read on the package, one pack, 1 to 2 servings, and there's, usually they're not one serving. They're usually 2 to 4 servings in one pack. When if it says 60 servings, that's not a lot because those servings aren't that big. And you're paying a lot of money for it. Prices have gone up because of the Biden administration. What are you going to do next year? How are you going to survive? How's your family going to survive? Especially if food banks are not getting supplies in that they got in a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. What are you going to do if next year there's no grain, no corn? Oh, there'll be plenty of corn, but it won't be for you to eat. It'll be for them to put in ethanol and gasoline. I hope anyone who watches my videos has prepared. And the woman herself said at the food bank, the community helps. It's the community here. It's the people here that help. If you don't have that type of community where you live, you can be in serious trouble. I don't know what to tell you to do. If you haven't already prepared with at least something, it may be too late. Me and my girlfriend have a tiller. I've shown my tiller, so we can plant a garden. Excuse me, there, got a nose itch. But fertilizer costs so much money. And the seeds, I kid you not, the price of seeds has skyrocketed. So, how are you going to survive? Because even if you have seeds, here's what you do. Know your zone where we are going to be moving to if something bad happens. Our property over in Rosebud, Montana is zone 4B. That is very harsh. We have to get 90-day seeds. Things that sprout and harvest in 90 days. 90, that's it. So, if you're thinking about trying to prepare and buying seeds, so if you have to, you can plant some type of garden to feed you. Make sure they are 90-day seeds. Seeds that'll sprout and give you some food in 90 days. A lot of other seeds take a whole lot longer. I know I'm probably rambling to some of you. But expect these food shortages to get much worse. Expect prices to get higher. Your gas is probably going to be much, much higher by the time it's finished. Because Joe Biden has gone after the oil and gas companies And now he's begging them. Because no overseas place is going to ship us oil like that. So he's begging the ones here that he went after to start producing more oil. It doesn't work like that. Everything's going up. When you go into a store and see things are missing, most people don't think about it. You need to start thinking about it. Because a year from now, you might not be able to go into a store and get anything. Alright, think about what I said. And once again, if you have money, extra money, get supplies. You don't have to buy freeze-dried. Just get supplies, things you can put back. Canned goods, canned chicken, macaroni and cheese, whatever. You have to put back. Ramen noodles. Here's the thing. The square ramen noodles are extremely, extremely cheap. Buy a can of mixed vegetables. And if you're cooking for a whole family, make 4 or 5 packs of those ramen noodles. Dump 2 or 3 cans of vegetables in there. Mix it up, then pour your ramen noodles packet sauce in there from all of them. And that'll help give you vitamins and minerals that the ramen noodles don't have, and it will help fill you up. Ramen noodles are dirt cheap. Canned vegetables are starting to go up. Canned fruit is going up. Chili's gone way up. Can you survive the next year? Better yet, can you survive the next 3 years of Joe Biden? Think about it. And if they do get Joe Biden out, Harris is going to be worse. Try to prepare and try to help people in your community if you can. If you can't prepare, don't have a way, don't have the income or money, or whatever, get to know people that do have the money, do have a way to prepare, or is willing to share if you help them, like protect their home, help them in a garden, whatever. That's what you need to do if you have no money. You need to find someone that you can help, and then they will supply you food. Alright, I'm fixing to go. Think about what I said. Think about what they were talking about on the news. When it hits your area, and a lot of places have already been hit, you know, before I go, I want to say one thing. Not that long ago, we saw on the news a lot of food banks with lines that were 2-3 miles long of cars and people waiting to get food. And that wasn't nearly as bad as what's going to happen next year. What are you going to do? Alright, I'm fixing to go. I apologize for the length of this. Do what you have to do. Prepare any way you can. Even if you have to make a deal with someone else that has the money, has funds, you're willing to provide security or help them grow food or help them hunt or fish. Whatever you have to do to survive. Make a plan now, because by the time next year hits, it could be too late. Alright, that's it. I'm fixing to go. Everyone have a good one. Bye.